Happy week 3, everybody, and on here. And what is going on? Happy Sunday. So it is that time for this week's Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and other indie card distribution update. So we have pre-release this week for Spider-Man. We'll talk about this one a little bit. Looks like Mega Evolutions 1 pre-release was last week with the optionality of this week. And now we have some other things coming out. We have Flesh and Blood Super Slam, which I don't know that much about. We'll see what happens with those boxes. And then we have some really cool stuff coming. So we actually have the second Godzilla set, which the first one I haven't heard a whole lot about. It's still churning product. The boxes are still mid to upper 60s, but I haven't seen anything about this at all in the news or advertisement or anything. So kind of is what it is. Gundam, I do want to talk about this one because we do have a confirmed reprint coming at some point. It is basically the 4, so STO1 through STO4, the 4 starter decks, and GDO1, which is new type rising. I've seen some of the purchase orders for distribution. It looks like it is about 20% plus or minus a little bit of what they got with the first couple waves. So it's significant, but not significant. So we'll see what we get as a store. I would imagine we might get a case or two, which is far less than what we got in the first wave. But it's going to be interesting because I don't quite know the timing yet. If you do know the timing, feel free to post in the comment section. It's interesting because it came out the same time that the Gundam Assemble orders came out. So my initial thought was, I wonder if it's a January release, but it looks like it might be November because I believe they've announced that the starter decks are supposed to come out in November, so they're opening some extra organized play. I don't know for certain. I'm just kind of reading the tea leaves here. So either way, the new type rising boxes are really, really cheap at this point relative to where I think they are. I mean, MSRP on those is $125. Their store's just undercutting other stores, even though there's not that much supply on TCG Player, and the sell-through is still 30-some boxes a day on average, which just blows my mind. For those of you who aren't aware, Bandai had their card con thing, whatever, in Dallas this weekend. I am far from Dallas, so I have no interest in going to any of those events. However, I heard that there were lines all over the place around the building. It was complete mayhem with people sharing codes and stuff because, for whatever reason, Bandai decided they were going to use non-unique codes and send them to folks who shared them with everybody else, and their entire system imploded, which was pretty stupid. But the fact that there was this much demand, obviously for One Piece, but also for Gundam, is a very, very good sign. I think they way underestimated the demand for Gundam when it came to the TCG, and it looks to me like they've underestimated the demand for Gundam in person. Now, it was there was no entry fee in the door, which again is idiotic. Just make it something like $5 something, just some sort of moat or barrier to entry. That way you keep all of the Craigslist folks or Facebook groups folks from just going and trying to jump in line and buy shit. But it is what it is. Hololive, I don't talk about this one. I didn't do anything with it. I did play test it back in February at Gamma. It looks like the second set is coming out in the next couple weeks. The first set actually sold pretty well. I didn't actually Blooming Ray, so never mind. This is typical Bushi. They print, and then they will reprint it into the ground as long as they can make 3 cents off of it. Which is interesting because if we look at Weiss, good transition into Weiss, we have Azure Lane coming out. So Azure Lane is coming out on the 17th of October. Now, certain distributors have gone to allocation with this, and the reason for that is folks didn't order on time. And then all the big stores came in and they're like, oh, yeah, we want some of this. So all of the folks that followed the ordinary course of ordering, and it is ordered to demand, and it was printed to demand. Distributors did not get shorted on this product, I assure you. They pull from all the people that followed the rules, and they basically screw them over for the benefit of the bigger stores, which It's not a big deal. It's not like we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars here. It's a nice set. There's going to be a lot of it. But what I want you guys to pay attention to, uh, go to TCG Player and look at Nikki. So there was a first wave of Nikki. When it came out, the boxes were at $70 or so. They reprinted the first edition, and it was a confirmed reprint. The print on the promo packs was different. The print on the boxes, it actually was like Pokemon, where it did say not for retail sale before such and such date. But this was an all-out dump. There was like 5,500 or 6,000 boxes on TCG Player. When the market came, it was a race to zero. People selling at 46, 47, 48. A lot of that inventory has worked through the market in 2 months, a month and a half. The lowest list is now $58. There are effectively 600 boxes available, selling through between 20 and 40 a day before we're back at $70. And then that's it. It's gone. Now, they may reprint. They're most likely going to do a second reprint with silver signatures. But when you're looking at Weiss, it's not a quick 10D game. Things churn, and they tend to, I guess, deteriorate over time. So the supply gets bought, it gets ripped, it gets whatever. And then over time, things start to gain value. Now, this is very IP dependent, where if folks aren't interested in the IP, the set's just going to be dead money. But with Nikki, it's not dead money. Azure Lane, it is an older IP, but it's not dead money because the first set was so good. And then again, we have this set coming out, reprint set. Where are we? Frerien, reprint coming out in December. This is the second edition, so this is Silver Borders. Super underordered again. I'm not an anime fan. I did watch all 28 episodes. Now they're short. They're 20 minutes in pop, so it's pretty easy to watch. And I didn't get bored. It was interesting, and it was the first time in a long time it was any show that I actually wanted to see what happened next. The second season comes out in January on Netflix. So this is coming out in December with all of the tailwinds in the world. It's going to be a banger. It is what it is. Now, again, you're not going to sell tens of thousands of boxes of this, or even thousands. I mean, you could sell thousands of boxes, but the box price is cheap. But it's just interesting. So I want to talk about Union Arena. So this is not a game that I deal with a lot, but traditionally with your games that are printed in Japan or in Japanese and in English, like same with Bushi. The Japanese cards have the signature cards, the chase cards, serialized cards, and then the English cards are just kind of shit, right? They're kind of an afterthought, etc. So apparently, I have been told that with which set is it? The one of these sets that's coming out. I don't know if it's Tokyo Ghoul or before this. They're now going to serialized cards in the English sets, which should add value to the boxes, add value to the chase. There has not been much, if any, of that in Union Arena, and quite honestly, the cards have been just dead. Now, there's been a couple IPs that have been good and interesting, but again, this is Bandai, so you got to order the cards 6 months ahead of time, and if not a little bit longer. And it's pretty risky for a game that doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of payoff. And again, it's IP dependent. But I did want to mention that there's now going to be serialized cards in the sets. So that's something of note that's different. So here's your Sorcery Contested Realms update. There's no update because the company's terrible. Moving on, Riftbound League of Legends. So we have the allocation from our organized play distributor. I have heard nothing from anybody else. Now, I know there was some messiness with the organized playlist that came from UBS. There were some names on there twice. There were some names missing. So some of the distributors were just waiting to get a clean list before they allocated. Now, obviously, we have time. It doesn't come out till the end of October. Remember, this was delayed. This was officially, I think it was like a 10-1 release. or let's see, 26th. So yeah, it would have been like the 10-2, 10-3, whatever. The Friday after the 26th would be 6 sometime. Yeah, the 2nd. So, and this was delayed. So we'll see what happens. It looks like there's a reasonable amount of demand for it. I'm always a little skittish in placing orders for the next set before I know what my allocations are for the first set. So we'll see what happens there. Let's see. I think that is everything on the indie side. Let's go to Magic real quick. So Spider-Man's come out and people have kind of shit on the set because there's no serialized cards from a collector perspective. But what we're seeing is the showcase fancy Soulstone looks like it's selling for a lot. So the last 5 sales have been 10K, 10K, 15, then 20 and 20. I know I saw an article that Tavis King of Magic the Gathering fame, he's like one of the foremost historians of the early Magic stuff, came out and he put out a video, or not a video, but it was a comment on a Reddit post where he presumed that there was about 300 Soul Stones printed. I call bullshit on that. Generally speaking, it's far less than far more than what anybody thinks when it comes to these things. And if there's 400 serialized cards in Edgar Markov, Aether Spark, Mox Amber, in those sets, there's at least 500 here, probably more because it's Spider-Man. So I'm guessing, there's no less than 2,000. But either way, if it's attainable, I'm kind of comparing this to the serialized Chocobo. Granted, there's only 77 of those, and they're selling for anywhere from 50 to 100 grand. In this instance, as long as this card stays over $5,000, the value of the collector boxes is going to be somewhere between $800 and $1,000. It's just going to be because of the chase. And then you have all the Spider-Men, whatever you want to call it, with the different poses and the textured foils, that they should all be $1,500 to $2,000 each. Very similar to the different color chocobos. So quite honestly, it doesn't really matter the reception of the set, because the collector boxes at anywhere in the 5s and 6s, in my opinion, is screaming by. We did get a second wave of collector boxes. Not everybody seems to say that they're coming because they were stuck in customs and this and that. They weren't stuck in customs because they were printed in the fucking USA. So whoever said that's an idiot. It was, in my view, it was planned to create shortage and FOMO, and then the second wave is going to come in and save the day. That being said, we did get a decent amount, probably 20% of what we got in wave 1, which is good. It's on par with what we've gotten in some of the other sets, maybe a little bit more. But that being said, we had our pre-release this weekend. Day 1 was full. Day 2 and day 3 were light. Now, day 2, we also had some Pokemon events. Those were full. But it seems like, our Edge of Eternities all of them were full. Everything from Final Fantasy was full. So this certainly took a step back from an interest standpoint. And I think a lot of it's just noise and confusion, because you have the vocal minority bitching and moaning about the set. I'm sure they're going to love Avatar until the price of Avatar goes up or goes down or whatever. So we'll see what happens there. Avatar, really not much to talk about here, but with Lorwyn, I believe this is the week where we get the WPN allocation of this is your floor allocation. I still have yet to get any confirmation that there is a second wave coming from anyone. I did talk to two of my reps, and they basically said, look, we are highly confident that we're just getting everything and we're allocating it out up front. So there isn't a second wave. There's nothing like distributions cutting back and then they're saving stuff to sell later. And none of that stuff. And again, everybody tends to look for the boogeyman with distribution. And I've yet to see it. Everybody gets the call where it's like, hey, I have a market opportunity, which basically means it's 25% above market. But it's one of those deals where they're calling you because they're like, hey, take this and we'll do right by you going forward. So you just have to read the tea leaves. You can't look at every item and say, hey, am I going to double my money on this? Because that's really not the way. That's not the proper mindset here. So we'll see what happens with Lorwyn. See if there's any lessened demand based on the softness of Spider-Man and what I think Avatar is going to be very soft as well. I just don't think that the IP is big enough to carry the set, but we'll see. I could be wrong. Kind of hope I am. So moving on to the Pokemons. So Mega 1 pre-release is out. I don't know if I mentioned last week, but most of the distributors received their ETBs late. I don't know if there were some other SKUs that were late, but I know for sure the ETBs. We did receive all of our product last week from our OP distro. We've gotten most of everything from everybody else. Let me rephrase that. We have most of everything scheduled to be received Monday, Tuesday of this week from everybody else, and that wasn't a correction based on when it can actually show up. That was a correction because that's when it's actually scheduled to show up. So I think everything's fine there. No idea when the second wave's going to ship, but quite honestly, I don't really have any concerns about it, to be honest with everybody. Just they're going to push product out, and they're just so behind and busting out at the seams because they're churning so quickly. It just is what it is. Mega 2, the pre-order prices on this are absolutely insane. For a set that comes out in less than 2 months, to be at $350 for a booster box on TCG Player. Like I said before, what I've seen so far, the allocation and supply of this is almost identical to Mega 1. Maybe some extra ETBs, some extra booster bundles. Booster boxes have not taken a step forward. It's about the same. So, is what it is there. And we've talked about the Mega Charizard. Everybody's saying there's 3 million of these here and there's 4 million of these here. There's a healthy amount of these printed, and it is going to be worth every damn penny that your customers are going to pay for it. You have 18 packs in the box. I did a video on this last night. It's 4 Mega 2, 4 Mega 1, 4 Destined, 4 Journey Together, and 2 Surging Sparks. Everybody's like, ew, 4 Journey Together. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. You get 14 packs that are absolute home runs. So the 14 packs that aren't Journey Together, they're basically $10 packs. In a sealed format, they're $10 packs. But let's assume for a second that they're $8 or they're $7 packs. So 7 times 18, you're 70 and 56. So, and you're basically $140. The Charizard promo is going to be a $40 promo. Let's just say it's $20. You're at $160 and $170 for the other promo plus the sealed premium. You're at $200, which is the absolute floor for this thing if you look at the intrinsic value. And as time passes, those old packs are going to start to rotate out. There is no chance, absolutely zero chance, that we're going to see the same thing that we saw with the Charizard UPC from Sword and Shield from the Lost Origins time frame. I don't know who keeps saying that, but they clearly have no idea the difference in the world that they live in now. They're going to hold up in value. Now, would I pay $300 for one? No. But anywhere $250. If you can get it sub 2, that's a great price. But they're going to hold value, and quite honestly, they're badass looking. And again, the Mega Charizard, the promos are going to sell for a lot because most of these are not going to get opened. It is what it is. And by the way, the Terapagos UPC is like $200 right now. You think this thing's not going to be worth $200 out of the gate? I mean, come on, guys. Like, let's be real here. And again, just the last point on here is we're getting 50% of all of these SKUs. Every SKU that you see on the screen here, we're getting 50% of these at release and then 50% 3 days later. So Pokemon's going to be shipping stuff through Christmas, probably the week between Christmas and New Year. So it's going to be a fascinating time to see what happens. So anyway, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to push them in the comments. No, I still don't like Lorcana. I know the new Fable set is doing well because there's none of it. I trust Ravensburger less than I trust Wizards of the Coast / Hasbro. So it is what it is. Until they prove me otherwise, it's just a dead game like Star Wars Galaxy. So anyway, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, and have a great Sunday night.